Hello everyone, Catweazle here, welcome to the channel and welcome back to our playthrough of Arkham Horror, the card game, where we are playing the Dunwich Legacy campaign. We're currently on our first scenario and that is scenario 1B, The House Always Wins. Our intrepid investigators are Zoe Samaras and Daisy Walker, and they are investigating the Clover Club, a speakeasy where they're looking for Dr. Francis Morgan. However, their steps are dogged by the evil pit boss who's following them around the club. But fortunately, up to now, we've managed to give him the slip and he hasn't actually caused us any problems. But how long will that last? Not very long, if I know this game. So we're just about to get into episode 2. But as ever, yes, I made a couple of cock-ups last turn. Nothing too major, but I'll go through them just to explain what I did wrong. First of all, Machete. I said I wouldn't get the +1 damage because the pit boss was there. You remember when Zoe killed the rats? That's not true. You only lose the +1 damage bonus if you have more than one enemy engaged with you. We only had the rats engaged with us. The actual pit boss was aloof and wasn't engaged with us, so we did get the +1 damage. Makes no difference whatsoever because the rats only had 1 health, so we killed them anyway. But just to explain that, I did get that wrong, but no harm done there, except to the rats, of course. Now, the other error I made was with Research Librarian. Remember, I discarded this from my player area in order to get 2 clues. Unfortunately, the lounge says you've got to discard an ally from your hand. I misread that, I missed it. Too late now, we have got rid of him, and then I promoted Dr. Christopher. As it is, I spent 2 resources that I didn't need to spend. Yeah, and what I'll do is I'll just make sure with Zoe that I do it correctly. We're going to have to get rid of Leo DeLuca because he's in our hand. So I played that. That's going to be a penalty anyway. If I'd read it correctly, I wouldn't have promoted Beat Cop. I would have promoted Leo DeLuca instead because I'd rather have Leo DeLuca. So, yeah, got that wrong. I should have discarded it from my hand, not my player area. So, sorry about that. That was a mistake I made. And another one was when we picked an encounter, we got Rotting Remains. Now, as it stands, we actually passed it, but this shouldn't be in the encounter deck yet. We have a selection of encounter cards here, and they're supposed to come in a bit later on. As you can see, they've got some nasty monsters and stuff in here, and they're added later. Now, I've had a look through this deck, and what it is the rest of the Rotting Remains were in here. This must have just stuck to one of the cards. It's one of the things with these sleeves. Sometimes they stick together. So it must have stuck to one of the encounter deck there. So apologies for that. It shouldn't have been in the deck. But it is quite a nasty card anyway. It's not like we got, something easy. So I've took it out now. I've took it out of that discard pile and put it where it should be, which is in here. So apologies for that. Rotting Remains shouldn't have been in there. But I've took it out now. Right, so I think that's it. Oh yeah, the only other mistake I made was a tactical one. It's not a huge mistake. It was just that I moved Zoe. I should have left Zoe at the Clover Club lounge. The reason being is it just does well to split your investigators up at this particular point because we're not being attacked. The pit boss is aloof. So if we'd split them up, it would have meant that now we would have been able to get 2 clues a bit easier. As it is, if Zoe had stayed in the lounge, the pit boss wouldn't have moved. He wouldn't have followed. He wouldn't have followed Daisy because, yes, as pointed out, I think it was David pointed out. He said he wouldn't have followed Daisy because Zoe would have stayed in the lounge. But yeah, the fact that I've got them stuck together the way that they are at this particular point in the game, it is a bit of a tactical error. I can afford to have them separate, and that had been a better tactical decision just to keep the pit boss on his toes. But yeah, not as big a tactical error as I thought, but all the same, you know, I should have worked that a bit better to my advantage. Anyway, after going through all that, let's get on with the game. So we need to get to, what is it? Round 4, and it's going to be the laugh and chuckle phase. So I'll be back in a moment. I'll just put all these cards back. And here we are at round 4 and the mythos phase. So the first thing we've got to do is doom. So we're up to 3 doom. Check against the agenda. The agenda needs 4 doom, so we're fine there. What is next? Now we pull encounter cards. Who are we going to have go first? I think Zoe will go first, so let's get her an encounter card. Here we go. And she gets a swarm of rats. These are dead easy, and normally I wouldn't be too bothered about getting them. But we could do with her. She's going to have to waste a bloody action now, unfortunately. But c'est la vie. Right, so she's got a swarm of rats. They will engage. Next up, we have... It is Daisy, of course. We've got no other player. So let's see what she gets. She gets Twist of Fate. Revelate. Oh, we've got a reveal. It's the reveal a random token palaver. So we could do with horror, please. Horror or getting away with it. We do not want. What have we got? Elder Sign. Got away with it. Yeah, the only one we didn't want here was the number that wasn't positive. All the rest would have been alright. Even the 2 horrors fine. She's got 9. But we got away with it, so that's okay. We can get rid of that. And I think that is it for the mythos phase. That means next up is the investigator phase, and it's Zoe. Right, Zoe, she's got to do some fighting. I was hoping she was going to be moving, but she is fighting first because of the swarm of rats. We've seen them before. They've only got 1 combat, and they've only got 1 health. So we get +1 for Beat Cop, +1 for Machete, +4, that is 6 versus 1. So we need a -5 or better. And we get a skull. I think we're fine with a skull. Let's just check. -2. You may spend 2 resources to treat this token as a 0 instead, but no need to do that. And oh, resources, that reminds me, we got engaged by the rats. Hang on. And that means a resource. So good job, I remembered that. She's up to 4 now. We killed it, so we can get rid of those. And what we do want to do now is move. So what we're going to do is we're going to move to the Clover Club Lounge. Let's move to the map. And here we are at the map. So that is her second action. Sorry, I haven't been taking away my actions, so she's just used 2 actions. And for a final action, we've got to say goodbye to Leo, who I should have promoted into my hand, but I didn't. So Leo, he's really good as well. It gives you an extra action, but unfortunately, because I've been a donut, it's Leo that has to go. But that said, we'll get rid of him here. We do get 2 clues because of the action statement on the lounge card. We are still in Act 1. We are now up to 6 clues. We only need 2 more. Right. If we could have a drink, we'd be laughing, but we can't have a drink yet. Oh, one thing though. We have... Actually, I'll put them on the card. We have done that once per game. Exchange of an ally with both of our investigators now. So I'll put another token on there. And I think that is it for Zoe. Yes, that's it for Zoe. So next up, it is Daisy. And here we are with Daisy for her first action. What we're going to do is we're going to move. So we're going to move to the Clover Club lounge as well, because we want the pit boss to move. We need to get the pit boss out of there because we need to get two clues at the actual bar. And if we move both of our investigators, then he will follow. Right, so that's the Clover Club lounge we're in. What's Daisy going to do next for a second action? Let's get to her player area and find out. Okay, second action. What we are going to do is we are going to play the Old Book of Law. It's going to cost us those 3 resources we've got, but what we want to do is we want to look at the 3 cards at the top of our deck. We need that tote bag. We need that tote bag. So let's give ourselves a chance of getting it. That is 3 resources. Get rid of those. And yes, our final action, we are going to exhaust the Old Book of Law. And let's see if we can find tote bag 1, 2, 3. Our first one is upside down, and it's the tote bag. Yes! Fantastic first one as well. Then Arcane Studies, then Manual Dexterity, just checking in case we need these, but no. These are getting shuffled back in. The tote bag comes up trumps. I didn't need to use Old Book of Law really. It'd have come up during the upkeep phase. But yeah, that's a good one. The reason we need the tote bag is because if we get the Necronomicon and we don't have the tote bag, with having these 2 tomes out, we'd have to discard one in order to make room for the Necronomicon. At least with the tote bag, we don't have to do that. It also means we can get things like Flashlight out, yeah, because the books essentially get put in a bag. So there we go, we've got the tote bag. We'll still need to play it, and we've got no resources, but I'm glad it's out. Ooh, brilliant. So that went pretty well. And that is it for her. That was her third action. That is the end of the investigation phase. Next up is the enemy phase. And here we are at the enemy phase. We've only got one enemy, and yes, he is going to follow us. He still does not trust that Daisy woman with her books, who comes in to a speakeasy with books. Somebody who requires watching, that's who. So he's followed both of them into the lounge, and that is it for the enemy phase. He's still aloof, we're fine, which means we can move on to the upkeep phase. And here we are at the upkeep phase. So first things first, we've got to unexhaust cards. So that's the Old Book of Law. And there's nothing else, is there? No, there isn't. So we can get our actions back. That's 3 for Zoe and 3 for Daisy. Then it is Zoe. She requires to pull a card. So let's see what she gets. She gets Overpower, so this could be useful. It's a skill, practiced, max 1 committed per skill test. If the test is successful, draw a card. I've got to remember that, I always forget that. Die, you beast! Look at Silas there. Yes, go on Silas, son. So, we'll pop that there. That'll go very nicely with Vicious Blow. What else have we got to do? A resource. So start spending these resources now. I was only keeping them back for Leo DeLuca and made a balls of that. Right, anyway, let's get over to Daisy. She gets a card. And yeah, it's this way, isn't it? Oh, another flashlight. You're joking. Bloody millions of them. So there we go. So another flashlight, and she gets a resource as well. So there we go. So that's not too bad. We just need 2 more clues now. The only problem is, of course, is because that's the end of the round, we're going to move into round 5, and we're going to get another doom, which means the agenda's going to flick over. It's been, you know, the game's gone easy on us till now. That is going to change. As soon as these agendas start flipping over, then trouble comes down the turnpike, as they say. Right, so that is it for round 4. I'll be back shortly with round 5. I will just go and upload this. Back shortly. And here we are at round 5. Just uploaded round 4. It looked okay, but if you spotted anything, please do let me know. Right, round 5. It's the laugh and chuckle phase, straight up. And that means bad news, because that's a doom. That will put us to 4 doom. We check the agenda. The agenda flips on 4 doom. So let's have a read. So 4 doom. So what we have to do is flick it over, and it's on the right track. Your questioning has drawn the attention of several men, hired thugs by the look of them. Francis doesn't want to be bothered, one of them says. We suggest you leave the premises before we force you to leave. So they've got some cockneys in there, and shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Right, so we've got to put all these in. Our friends the rats, etc. They all go back in. Give it a quick shuffle. There we go. Let's mesh them together a bit as well. And then we can give them a cut. And we are ready to rock and roll. Put those back there. Carry on with this. If the players have completed extracurricular activity, they have not. If the house always wins is the first scenario in the campaign, it is. Advance to Agenda 2A. Whoop. And that should be next. Yes, it is. We'll put Clover Club to the back. Agenda 2A, Underground Muscle. Most of the other patrons seem oblivious to the monsters and goons closing in around you, but you recognise this for what it really is. You're about to get roughed up. Well, Zoe will see about that. Well, 3. So 3 doom for this one. So we are going to have to get a move on, because we aren't even out of Act 1 yet. So that's pretty grim. Right, okay, so we've done that. Now we can get into drawing encounter cards. And Zoe is going to go first. She's lead investigator anyway, so... And she gets Twist of Fate. Oh, the old chaos bag. Again. And we do not want the horror job. And we get the horror job, because we got an icon. Oh, wait a minute though. You may spend 2 resources to treat this token as a 0 instead. Haha! And if we treat it as a 0 isn't a positive number though, but a 0 is 1 damage, and it's not 2 horror, so we're going to do that. We're going to spend 2 of our resources. That wasn't a skull token, it was a 0, so we only take 1 damage, and tell you what, good old Beat Cop, he can take that. Said nothing about direct damage, so he's got it. And oh yeah, nice move, Paul. Ooh yeah. So Twist of Fate, get rid of that. So well done Zoe, and well done me for remembering about the skull token. Next up is Daisy. Nothing bad, please, Daisy. Come on. Oh, mobster. Damn. And it's got retaliate as well. Human criminal syndicate. Forced after mobster attacks you, lose a resource. You better scram, pal, unless you're hungry for boot leather and lead. Ugh, damn. Right, so that goes right here as well. It engages with us because we're in big trouble now. Well, Daisy is anyway, because the pit boss is also going to engage with her because it is no longer aloof. And it's a tie, so he is going to engage with his prey, and his prey is the chick with the most intellect. Oh, so that's bad. That is bad. And yes, that gives us something to think about as we go into the investigation phase, which is next. And here we are at the investigation phase. I'll zoom in a minute because I've got to do something, which is obviously Zoe's going to go first. What Zoe's going to do is she's going to use a first action to engage the pit boss. So the pit boss is going to move across. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to get rid of the mobster. So the reason I've engaged the pit boss across is because he has got 2. He does 2 damage. At least the mobster only does 1 damage. And got a bit of a plan. I think that we may use shortcut for Daisy. I'll have a think about that. But right, so we've engaged the pit boss across. Let's zoom in because, unsurprisingly, Zoe is going to try and stick a machete in his groin. Okay, here we are with Zoe. Now, she's engaged an enemy, so she does get one of her resources back, so she's back to 4. And now she's going to attack that pit boss. Hopefully we'll be able to take him out. It's well worth doing anyway. He does have a victory point. Now, he has got 3 combat. We have got 6 because we've got 4, 5, 6 with machete. And we will get the +1 damage with machete because mobster is still engaged with Daisy. Should I use Vicious Blow? I am going to use Vicious Blow. If it works and we get the extra damage, then I can discard Beat Cop for another damage, and that'll be 4 damage, and we can get rid of him in 1 shot. So we will do that. So Vicious Blow is going in. And in order for that to work, we can use Overpower as well. So that will give us 2 combat. So we've now got 8 combat versus 3, yeah? And we're playing Vicious Blow. Come on. Not the time to get a tentacle. And we get a Cowled Cultist. I think that's fine. I will just check. -3. But if we succeed, we're getting 3 resources. Woohoo! We did succeed. That is brilliant stuff. So we've succeeded, put that back in there. So we put 2 damage on the Clover Club pit boss. 1 damage for succeeding. 1 damage for machete. 1 damage for Vicious Blow. And we'll get rid of that now. Put that over here with Leo DeLuca. And we are also going to use a free action to discard Beat Cop. And deal 1 damage to a enemy at your location, which is him. 4 damage. Oh yeah. We've lost Beat Cop, but I think that is well worth it. So we get the pit boss. He will go into our victory display. I'll pop him over here. Pop him up there. And we have got a victory point. Woo! Put that here. We had to use a few cards there, but I think it was worth it. And that was our second action. I'm thinking, is it worth engaging the mobster? It's got to be, hasn't it? We can't fight it, but I'd rather us lose a damage than Daisy. So our last action, we also engage the mobster. And that gets us yet another resource. So that is cool. Yeah, I'd much rather have Zoe dealing with all that. Now, unfortunately, that means Zoe can't get to the bar for a drink, so it's going to have to be poor old Daisy that's going to have a drink. I didn't particularly want her to have a drink. There are those cards in there where you go a bit fuzzy, but yeah, Daisy's, after all, she's obviously a bit, I imagine she's a tiny bit traumatised because she has just seen Zoe go completely hat-stand and machete a man in the midriff. So, yes, she's going to have a drink at the bar, I think. But as far as Zoe goes, that's it. She's done a fantastic job. Next up is Daisy. And here we are with Daisy. Her first action is to move. So she is now going to move to the Clover Club bar. That's fine. There's no attack of opportunity because the mobster is now engaged with Zoe. So she's popped across there. The next thing we want to do is have a drink. Now, we've got a slight problem on the old having a drink front because we need 2 resources. We've only got 1. But what we can do is we can spend our second action to gain a resource. So that gives us our second resource. Zoe is going to have a drink, the naughty girl that she is, but that will get us our final 2 clues. So while she's getting squiffy at the bar, she's overheard some conversation and she's got the final 2 clues. So that means that that was her last action, by the way. And that means we've got the 8 clues required. So I'm going to gather those up because immediately you get 8 clues. That means you turn the axe over. So there are the 8 clues that we gathered. Put them back in here. Let's get to Act 1A. You must immediately spend them in advance. So we did have 8, which is what the requirement was. We'll flip it over. High Roller. After speaking to a number of gamblers and servers, it seems as though Dr. Morgan has had quite the run lately. Instead of cashing out his winnings, he was convinced to double down. He was last seen entering the guarded hall near the back of the card room. Put the set-aside Darkened hall into play. If it is Agenda 1, no it isn't, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a criminal enemy is discarded and spawn that enemy at the Darkened hall. Right, hang on. It's not... It said Agenda 1, didn't it? And we're on Agenda 2A, so we don't have to do that last bit. Let me just get the Darkened hall. This is the Darkened hall. The Clover Club. A heavy oak door stands in a secluded corner of the club. As you approach it, the air grows heavy and the clamour of the card room fades behind you. Now, this is attached to... It's the blue circle with the triangle in it, which is the card room, which I should have worked out, really. Right, so what we're going to have to do is pop, set that up in a minute. So that'll go there. And yes, if it is Agenda 1, but it's Agenda 2, so we do not have to discard the cards from the top. So that's empty. Woohoo! So that was a bit of a look. I think what this is about is if you're really quick and you zoom through it, that's why you have to do this. They think, whoa, steady, steady. You're not going to zoom through here. But because an agenda's already kicked over, that's why we've got away with that criminal enemy. So get rid of that. Put that to the back, which means we move on to what's next. Skin Game, Act 2A. Dr. Morgan is somewhere in the private section of the club, where only VIPs and the club managers are allowed. If you are to find him, you're going to have to sneak or even fight your way in. Objective: only investigators in the VIP area may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance, and we need 4 clues to do that. This is where, hopefully, Daisy's going to come into her own. Right, so we're going to have to get into the card room first, because we haven't been there yet. Then we're going to have to get to the Darkened Hall, and then the VIP area is somewhere around there. We've got a mobster to deal with, which will be next, because that is the end of the investigation phase, and we will get to the enemy phase. We'll move to the enemy phase, I'll sort the Darkened Hall out, and then the mobster can have his go. Be back in a minute. And here we are at the enemy phase. One more thing, I'll just put one of these tokens on here, because yes, Daisy is getting squiffy in the bar, and you're only allowed to do that once. That's on there, and it's the enemy phase. So the mobster will attack Zoe, and she is going to lose a health. So she goes down to 8. But that's alright, Zoe can take that. No problems. So yes, Zoe is now full rampage mode. I think we'll try and get her 32 Colt into her other hand, and she can just go on some like monster killing rampage, I think, from now on. Daisy, we've got to get Daisy into the Darkened Hall, and yes, I think that will be a good plan. Perhaps get her a flashlight. Now, oh, we haven't... Yeah, get her the flashlight, and we've got the tote bag, and yes, so she will be able to get a flashlight. We've just got to make sure that we get all these clues. So through the card room into the Darkened Hall. That is it for the enemy phase. Next up, it is the Upkeep phase. And here we are at the Upkeep phase. So, actions back. Your actions, please, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. They're back. We've got no cards that we need to refresh. That is fine. And it's just grab a card time for Zoe. Come on, something good. First aid, that'll do. And we'll pop that there. And she gets a resource as well, so she's up to 6 resources. And then we turn our attention to Daisy. And is it that way? It's that way. She gets manual dexterity, innate, max 1 committed per skull test. If this test is successful, draw a card. Too easy. And yeah, cool. Oh, I tell you what, I used overpower, didn't I? What I always forget is if this test is successful, draw 1 card, so I'm going to do it. We got first aid when we did that. This is what we get now. Cherished keepsake. I love this card. Now, this is actually for Wendy Adams, really. But, as I said, like, I had just Zoe going round, like, she's got a gun, she's got a machete, she's already killed somebody, she killed a load of rats, she's killed a pit boss, but she's got a teddy bear. I just love it. So what I like to think of is Wendy gave her the teddy bear to look after, and she's looking after it. So she's got the cherished keepsake. This is an asset, and the reason I've got this for Zoe is obviously she can wear this as in her amulet slot, but it does give her 2 extra sanity. So that's why I gave her this. Mr. Porterson always told Wendy things would turn out okay, but then again, Mr. Porterson was a teddy bear and he didn't know any better. And I think Mr. Porterson's a bit of a star. So there we go. She's got the cherished keepsake. Yes, that is, yeah. When I played Overpower and it worked, I should have drawn another card. So we'd have got first aid with that card, and then we get cherished keepsake. For all of you out there saying, no, you missed it, you can't do it, tough, done it, my game. I've done it. I've got enough to remember with all this videoing and stuff. So, yes, I'm having that. Okay, so we've done that, and it is now Daisy. She got manual dexterity, didn't she? What she didn't get was her resource. So there we go. We are done, I think, for the upkeep phase. That is it. Righto, I shall go and upload this, and I shall be back shortly with round 6. And welcome back to round 6. One thing I noticed while I was uploading round 5 is 3 resources should have gone to Zoe, because she pulled that cultist token and she passed the test, so you get 3 resources. So she's on 9 resources. If only Daisy had 9 resources, because we want her to we want her to equip a tote bag and all sorts of stuff. But unfortunately, she can't do that at the moment. Right, okay, what to do? Well, we get on with the Mythos phase, don't we? Yes, it's the laugh and chuckle phase of turn 6. So that is a doom. So that's 1 out of 3. Then we've got to pull some cards. Zoe is going to go first again. And she's the lead investigator anyway. So she gets a swarm of rats. Damn. So she is going to be doing quite a lot of killing. She might have to stay in the lounge all the time, just killing everything. Okay, so swarm of rats engage with her. Oh, that gives her yet another of those. We should be able to, yes, we should be able to load up the Colt, and then we'll have that as well as the machete, I think. Yeah. One bad thing about the cherished keepsake, although it's good, you know, and it would be excellent, we're already using the amulet slot. We won't be getting rid of that, so we can't really use the cherished keepsake unless we're going to use it for an icon. But it's nice to have, and you can't always be guaranteed to draw into the cross. So if we'd got the keepsake first, it would have been it's good to use the amulet slot until the cross arrives. But enough of that. We have got to draw a card now for Daisy. Here we are. And she gets Arousing Suspicions. Place 1 doom on each criminal enemy at your location. There aren't any. If no doom was placed by this effect, lose 2 resources. Oh, we've only got 1. So we've got to lose that single resource we got. I wanted to get a few resources. We're going to have to do without. And we're still not getting rid of Psychosis. We've got to get rid of that if we can. But not much chance of that, because Zoe's just getting, like, all this rubbish that she's got to deal with. We might have been able to do it this turn if we got rid of Swarm of Rats. Because what we could have done is killed the monster, and then the mobster, and then we could have got rid of Psychosis, but we can't do that now because of the rats. And poor old Daisy don't have a bean, but she's got to do a bit of do a bit of exploring now, so we'll have to get on with that. Speaking of which, yes, we're going to move into the investigation phase. And here we are with Zoe. So what are we going to do? We're going to fight. We're going to fight the rats first. The reason we're fighting the rats first is we now have 2 enemies engaged with us. And while we've got 2 enemies engaged with us, the machete only does 1 damage. So let's kill the rats first, because they only have 1 health. So we'll take these on first. And plus the fact they've only got 1 combat. So that is, and we haven't got Beat Cop anymore, so we've only got 5. We've got 5 combat. Are we going to chuck anything at it? No. So 5 combat versus 1. So that's a -4 or better, and we get a -2. So we kill the rats. They are gone. Now we can take on the mobster. He has a combat of 2. He is the only enemy now, so we will get the +1 damage off the machete. So that is 5 versus 2, so we need a -3 or better. Oh, that was our first attack. Our second attack get in here. And yes, it's the old skull token, which is a -2, isn't it? Yeah. So we don't need to spend any resources to make it a 0. We get 1 for the successful attack and an extra 1 because it's a machete, and we've got no other monsters engaged with us. Woo! The mobster has gone. And it's good. You've got to beat him as well because he's got retaliate. Oh, I should have lost a resource after the mobster attacked us. So I'll take 1. He did attack us, didn't he, in the last enemy phase, so I should have lost a resource then. I've took it off now. Right, mobster's gone. We have 1 action left. Do I move, or do I take the cult? We're going to move. We are going to move. So just move up to the map and I'll show you. And here we are at the map. So she is going to move here. I want to keep her quite close to Daisy if I can. I always want to have the opportunity for Daisy to be rescued. And if she's too far away, that's not going to happen. So we finally got to the card room. So let's have a look at this. Yeah, locked, but not for long. Clover Club. As you approach the card room, the clinking of poker chips and the shuffling of cards is punctuated by shouts of revelry and frustration. Your thoughts are nearly drowned out by the racket. So here we are, and it's got a shroud value of 3, but that's fine because there are no clues here. While it is at 1, it's not at 1 anymore, but what you could do is we could have spent an action and we could have gambled with resources, pulled tokens out of the chaos bag. The reason why I haven't done this, I've played this scenario before, this can take ages. Yeah, if you try and do this and you just start losing resources hand over fist. But the worst is it is a time soak. Yeah, so if you don't do it straight away, then you're in real trouble. The others, like having a drink and discarding the ally, well, they're guaranteed. This isn't. So that's why we didn't do this. That's why we've pretty much ignored the card room. But that's the card room. So we'll pop it on there. And that is going to be the end of Zoe's turn. So she's stopped there. That's it for Zoe. That means next up, oh yes, it is Daisy. And yes, back. Had a quick think. I was wondering whether to get tote bag in play. I could have gained 2 resources with 2 actions and put tote bag in play. And then I was thinking using shortcuts and stuff. But I think it's important that we get some exploring done. So we're going to spend 2 of our actions. We're not going to use shortcut yet. We're going to spend 2 of our actions and we're going to move twice. So she's going to go to the card room and then to the Darkened Hall. So we saw this before, the heavy oak door and all that sort of business. We'll flick it over. So this has got a shroud of 4 and no clues, which is disappointing. Forced. When Darkened Hall is revealed, put into play the 3 set aside back hall doorway location. The door slams shut behind you and you stand in a sudden silence. This area of the club is lonesome and devoid of warmth and colour. Somehow, the spotless floor and walls seem more sinister than inviting. Right, we've got to sort that out. So, we've still got an action. And let's have a look at these. Now, these are all the same at the front. Obviously, they're different on the back. One of these will be the VIP area. Yeah. So, what we're going to do is mangle these around. I'm not looking. I'm hoping I'm not going to drop one. Right, that's drop a card, by the way. Pencil Parley. Right, and we'll take the middle one first. So that'll go down. Then we've got another one. We'll put that here. Stagger them out a bit. Oh, we'll do it like this actually. I think they're all connected. So we'll do it like this. So One there, one there, one there. Have we got enough room? Why don't we do it like that? Apologies for the delay while I sort it out. So, ooh. So there we go. I will put some connectors to those shortly. Yes, so we've put all those into play. And is that? No, we've got one action left. Okay, I'll just sort these out properly and then I'll get back to you. Won't be a second. And there we are. Apologies for that, but it not being neat was winding me up. Has to be neat. Right, so there we go. That's not neat. Line up. Oh, it's bad news, isn't it? This is bad news. Right, that'll have to do. But you may rest assured, as soon as I finish this playthrough, this particular episode, I'll be kneading the nose up with a ruler. And right, so she's got one action left. As well as neatening all those up, I had to think about what action to take, and I think she may as well start looking for... We need this VIP room to find Dr. Francis Morgan. So which one shall we pick? So I don't know. I don't know which one to do. Shall we do it randomly? Let's get a D6. We'll do it randomly. So top one is 1 to 2, second one is 3 to 4, and the bottom one is 5 to 6. And we're going to do the bottom one because we rolled a 6. I might have guessed they'd roll a 6. So she is going to move down here. So she's done a whole lot of moving as good old Daisy. And we're going to see what's behind this back hall doorway. So Clover Club, you approach an unmarked door towards the back of the Clover Club. Dun dun dun! Yes! Yes! I rolled a 6, you saw me do it randomly. VIP area and 3 shroud. Now it will have 2 clues on it. Clover Club. While you are in the VIP area, you cannot draw cards or gain resources during the upkeep phase. We've got no resources anyway, so this is not so good. The coppery smell of blood assaults your senses. Oh dear. The floor is littered with broken glass and the upholstery has been torn to shreds. Where is Dr. Morgan? This has got a victory point. If we can get these 2 clues, then that'll be good news. We have got our best investigator. As in, you know, being able to find clues. She is at the correct spot, so that is good. I think what we'll do next turn, next episode, because obviously both of our investigators have gone, if we can move Zoe to that darkened hallway, then she can sort of, like, hopefully keep the heat off Daisy. And Daisy can get on with investigating here. We do need, let's just check Skin Game, we need 4 clues, so that's only 2. We're only going to get 2 clues out of that. We will have to investigate, hopefully one of these 2 has some clues, and I think they do. So we'll have to go to another location to get 2 more clues, but yes, at least we know where the VIP area is. It is hotting up now, it is hotting up, and very, very soon there are going to be a load of horrible monsters on the board. We're doing pretty well up to now, and I'm very pleased with that investigation phase. We've done all right there. And yes, that's it for the investigation phase. Next up is the enemy phase. And we may as well stay here, because there are no enemies whatsoever. We've got rid of them all. Zoe has been on fire, so no enemies. We can go straight to the upkeep phase. And here we are at the upkeep phase. One quick thing I just forgot. We've obviously got to put 2 clues onto that location. And the other thing about that location is Daisy, it's the upkeep phase. She won't be able to draw a resource or anything, unfortunately, not even a card. But she's got a few anyway, we should be okay. Oh, and you can see now I've put those out, see why I wanted to keep shortcuts. They should save us some time, hopefully. But it's Zoe, and Zoe will get to draw a card, and she gets emergency cash. Like, she hasn't got tons of resources anyway. So she's got emergency cash, and she will get an extra resource to go with all the rest. Look at all those. Oh, and we need to, let's give everybody their actions back as well. Won't get far without actions. 1, 2, 3. And yes, being in the VIP area, we can't draw a card and we cannot draw a resource either, so we've got no resources whatsoever for Daisy. And that is it for the upkeep phase, and that is it for today's episode. I'm going to do sort of 3 rounds a time, I think. That might go down to 2 if we get into some like major combat laughs, which are due. I mean, we've had quite a bit of combat anyway, but you know Arkham Files games. It's we haven't seen anything with tentacles yet. It's coming. So yes, things may get a bit more crowded, but Zoe has done fantastic. That's why I got her into this scenario. She has really kept the monsters down. She's done a great job. That has allowed Daisy to get here, find the VIP lounge. We can pick our first 2 clues up, then we can have a look at these other locations, try and get those final 2 clues, hopefully get hold of Dr. Morgan and get the hell out, because the quicker we do this, the better. I know I keep banging on about time, but time in this game, you really got to be as quick as you possibly can. Hanging around will completely do you in. If you're too long, you take too much time, the game will absolutely slaughter you. So we're doing pretty well. We've got 2 Doom left. It's going to be 1 Doom after, what is it, the start of next round. But hopefully we can get most of it done. With any luck, we can sort of crack on. And Daisy can pick up these 2 clues, and with her final action, a final action could get her to the Darkened the Darkened Hall. But yes, that's what we want shortcut for. We'll burn a shortcut, and she can go in one of those other back hall doorways and see what's in there. Yes, we've got to, can't we? We can't find Morgan until we get that 4th clue. So yes, we'll have to investigate those back hall doorways. And what's Zoe going to do? 32 Colt, let's get her that. She'll need it. The machete is very good for one-on-one, but when you get a shed load of monsters crawling out of the woodwork, you need a good shooter. So she'll get that. She has got emergency aid and first aid, and she's got resources up the doodah, so we should be okay. We've got to get rid of that psychosis if we get a chance as well. And yeah, so things are going well. We're keeping on top of it. This is the best I've ever done in this particular campaign, in this particular scenario. I have beaten it. I've played it about 4 times, and I have beaten it twice. But this is, oof, blimey, this is by far the best I've been doing. Mainly because I'm catching things like when I don't get resources, or when I forget to replace overpowers and things like that. Reviewing it does help you catch a lot of mistakes. Plus, you guys are helping out as well. So yeah, doing pretty well here. Long may it continue. But yes, the bad cards are going to start coming out soon, and the quicker we can get along before that happens, the happier I'll be. Okay, so thank you for watching. Thanks for all the views. Thanks for all the subscriptions. Thank you for all the help and support. Thank you for all the likes and the dislikes. And if you've noticed any errors, I've probably done one. I will have done one. I mean, I've caught a few there myself, but I will have done at least one. I don't play this game as much as I'd like to. It's a really nice game. Fantastic. I always have great fun playing it. And I think one of the, just to digress once again, I've read that a load of people like, oh, as soon as you play it once, the story goes, I don't want to play it again. I don't think that doesn't bother me, even though I know the story. I know the Dunwich Legacy, I've played through it, but it's still a great story. Love it. So I'm really looking forward to carrying on with this. So fantastic stuff it is. It's brilliant. Just Zoe and Daisy just running around the club. It's fantastic. So thanks very much. If you notice a mistake, please let me know. Thanks to everybody who's been across the board game links to have a look at the video over there, and anybody who has gone across to BGG to like the video threads, or to drop Geek Gold, or put a comment there, or indeed put a comment on any of my videos. Thank you so much. That is it for episode 2. I do hope that you join me for episode 3. Can it continue? The girls are doing a fantastic job, but can they keep it going? I'll see you next time. Until then, this is me, Catweazle, signing off. Toodaloo.